wondered why Game of Thrones feels so real, even though it's set in a world of dragons and magic? This video will talk about how George R.R. Martin draws inspiration from real-life events, making this fantasy epic feel hauntingly familiar. Number 1. Geographical and architectural parallels. Martin's world mirrors our own, starting with its continents. Westeros, the main setting, is heavily inspired by medieval Europe, with its feudal system, noble houses, and climates reminiscent of the British Isles and mainland Europe. To the east lies Essos, reflecting Asia with its vast steppes, wealthy city-states, and nomadic cultures that echo the Middle East, Central Asia, and Eastern Europe. Sothorios, a mysterious southern continent, resembles Africa, characterized by jungles, diseases, and myths of ancient civilizations, capturing the old European view of Africa as an unknown and dangerous land. The Wall, an iconic landmark of Westeros, is a colossal ice barrier that separates the Seven Kingdoms from the wild lands beyond. Though it may seem comparable to the Great Wall of China in its significance, George R.R. Martin actually drew inspiration from Hadrian's Wall, a Roman structure built in northern England to defend against northern tribes. Martin reimagined this historical fortification as a towering icy barrier that divides the Seven Kingdoms from the untamed and perilous north, guarded by the Night's Watch. King's Landing, the capital of the Seven Kingdoms, is a vibrant mix of medieval European cities like London, Paris, and Constantinople. The Red Keep, in particular, resembles the Tower of London, with its fortified walls and dark history of imprisonment and executions. The bustling streets, political intrigue reflect the power struggles of historical courts where loyalty could shift overnight. Valyria Freehold, the ruined city of the Dragon Lords, draws heavily from the grandeur of ancient Rome with its monumental architecture, aqueducts, and advanced engineering. The fall of Valyrian Freehold, caused by a volcanic disaster, parallels the Roman Republic and the mythical fall of the city of Atlantis. Number 2. Real-life historical events. The central conflict in Game of Thrones, known as the War of the Five Kings, is heavily inspired by the historical War of the Roses from 1455 to 1485, a series of battles between noble houses vying for the English throne, primarily Lancaster as Lannister and York as Stark. Joffrey Lannister closely resembles Edward of Lancaster, a ruthless and allegedly illegitimate heir, much like Joffrey himself. Margaret of Anjou, Edward's mother, mirrors Cercei Lannister with her adulterous affairs and manipulative ambition, pushing the rival houses into conflict. The death of Robert Baratheon, echoing King Henry VI's death, triggers the war as Richard, Duke of York, challenges the throne. Richard York's early victories, like Robb Stark's, ultimately end in defeat. One of the most shocking moments in the series, the Red Wedding, draws from real events such as the Black Dinner of 1440 and the Glencoe Massacre of 1692 in Scotland. In the Black Dinner, the young Earl of Douglas and his brother were invited to dine with King James II, only to be executed after being presented with a black bull's head, a symbol of death. Similarly, the Glencoe Massacre saw the Clan MacDonald slaughtered after offering hospitality to government forces, paralleling the tragic betrayal of the Starks at the Red Wedding. The civil war in House of the Dragon between Rhaenyra Targaryen and her half-brother Aegon II for the Iron Throne mirrors the Anarchy, a real historical conflict in 12th century England between Empress Matilda and her cousin Stephen of Blois over the English crown. The religious persecution and trials conducted by the Faith of the Seven, especially the imprisonment in Cersei Lannister's Walk of Shame, resemble the Spanish Inquisition from 1478 to 1834. This period was marked by the Church's power to enforce religious orthodoxy, often through torture, public shaming, and execution, mirroring the trials and punishments seen in King's Landing. Number 3. Cultural resemblances. In Westeros, the chivalric codes and knightly tournaments of the realm reflect medieval European traditions, while the Ironborn, seafaring warriors, are heavily inspired by the Vikings, embracing maritime prowess and a glorification of warrior deaths. The independent free cities of Essos are modeled after Renaissance city-states like Venice and Florence, known for their wealth and mercenaries. The Unsullied, Essos' elite slave soldiers, resemble the Spartan warriors of ancient Greece, with their discipline, rigorous training, and combat prowess. Similarly, the Golden Company's mercenary culture reflects historical bands of soldiers for hire that roamed Europe. And the Dothraki, with their nomadic lifestyle, fierce horse culture, and reputation as fearsome warriors, are inspired by the Mongols, Huns, and other nomadic steppe tribes. Their society's focus on mobility and horsemanship echoes the dominance of the Mongol Empire. Number 4. Religious structures and influence. Religion in Westeros also draws from real-world beliefs. There are the old gods of the forest, whose followers in the north find their faith in nature, in rocks, streams, and in the faces of sacred weirwood trees serving as sites of worship reflect ancient animistic and nature-based religions, reminiscent of early Celtic and Norse beliefs. Like the pagan traditions of Western Europe, this earth-based spirituality was later supplanted by the monotheistic faith of the Seven, in which a hierarchy of priests leads followers in worshipping just one god in 7 different forms. Martin has said the faith of the Seven is based loosely on the Trinity of the Catholic Church. The faith militant, or the Sparrows, follow the ancient religion of the faith of the Seven and enforce their ideals forcefully. This King's Landing cult is obsessed with purifying the faith. They violently punish sin and are trying to root out brothels, taverns, and all those who sell idols from other religions. The Sparrows are Martin's version of the medieval Catholic Church with its own fantasy twist. This parallels historical movements like the Crusades and the Inquisition. The Lord of Light, known as Ar-Halor, is a nod to what is arguably the oldest monotheistic faith, Zoroastrianism. Followers of this faith honored one god and held fire as a sacred symbol, as it represented light, warmth, and purifying powers. Melisandre and other followers of Ar-Halor speak of fire as burning away the sins, and death by fire to be the purest death. Both faiths focus heavily on the importance of fire and an understanding of the universe as divided into binary terms. The Zoroastrians also have a hero figure who is destined to take on the forces of evil in a climactic fight, but theirs is named Ahura Mazda instead of Azor Ahai. Number 5. Economic structures and trade. Westeros operates under a feudal system, where land ownership and agriculture are the primary sources of wealth. Noble houses control vast lands worked by peasants and small folk, who provide the labor for farming, mining, and other essential industries. Lords collect taxes, rents, and produce from their vassals, creating a hierarchy where wealth flows upwards to the crown. Trade plays a vital role in connecting the various regions of Westeros and linking them to the wider world of Essos. Key port cities like King's Landing, Old Town, and White Harbor serve as major hubs for importing and exporting goods. King's Landing, as the capital, is a bustling center of commerce where goods from all over the world, including spices, silk, and exotic items, are traded. Old Town, with its ancient history and connection to the Citadel, is another major port that facilitates the flow of knowledge and luxury items from Essos. Trade routes also mirror real-world medieval trade systems, such as the Silk Road and the Hanseatic League, with overland and sea routes connecting distant markets. The Iron Bank of Braavos is one of the most powerful financial institutions in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire. Similar to historical banking families like the Medicis, the Fuggers, and the Rothschilds, the Iron Bank lends money to noble houses, cities, and even entire kingdoms, wielding immense influence over politics through debt and credit. Slavery is a major economic engine in Essos, particularly in cities like Meereen, Astapor, and Volantis. The slave trade fuels the economy, providing cheap labor for everything from household servants to massive construction projects and gladiatorial games. The Unsullied, elite slave soldiers trained in Astapor, are a prime example of the economic value placed on human lives in Essos. This mirrors historical slavery in ancient Rome and the Ottoman Empire, where slaves were integral to both the economy and military. The intricate blend of historical inspiration makes the world of Game of Thrones feel as captivating as our own past.